All right, here we go. One last final time for 2020. Another post-game pod reaction for the More To It podcast. I'm here in Corey McKeon's basement once again to talk about this Rutgers game, to kind of wrap up this season. Big picture looks at it. You know, should they play in the bowl game? Should they not have played in the bowl game? All sorts of things we can dive into one last time. And then tomorrow night, Tuesday night, we're recording this on Monday afternoon. One last time for the season is Big Red Wrap-Ups. Make sure to join myself, Michael Severe, Sean Callahan on NET's Big Red Wrap-Up, 7 p.m., 10 p.m. on NT World, Facebook. You know the rule. So
I could live stream it on my Insta too.
No one's going to watch it.
All 300 followers. Enjoy the show.
So Nebraska, the original was supposed to kick off at 3. They go at 6:30. I was excited to watch the game at 3 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah.
I was game
ready.
I was getting ready like I was going at 3, but I'm like, oh, it's game's at 6:30.
At 3, I was confused. I didn't know they moved it.
Yeah, I had started having a few cocktails a little early at lunch, and we just kept it going. It was a good Friday. It was really
Friday.
It was a really good Friday. But so going to this game, I didn't know. I think we talked about this last week when we were doing our Minnesota. I just don't know where this team is anymore. It seems like when you expect the most out of them, you expect good, you don't get it, and you're kind of like you're almost expecting them to go in the tank, and they kind of surprise you, just come out of nowhere and surprise you, you know, and just reel you back in a little bit.
We're going to be positive today.
Yeah,
we're positive.
We're up to, yeah, there's positive things.
If we just clean up the bad mistakes, this is a good football team. I'm going to say it. I'm going to stick to it. I really believe that. But for first half fumbles, I mean, you threw 2
turnovers,
picks, and
I
mean,
mean,
you take that away, and you almost put 700 yards up.
Yeah,
we kill them.
Yeah,
we kill them.
This game going on, I was watching it, and I just watched it at my house, and as poorly as this gets going, Martinez has a fumble as he gets kind of flipped upside down, lands on his head, and just they come out and get, like their first play is like a 40 or 50 yard completion over JoJo Doman. And all along though, and I still am watching this Rutgers offense, I'm like, if we just, they're not great. I mean, if they would have been a lot better if they had Noah Vedral, obviously. But I'm like, they can't do much.
No.
Like, and our defense has played good and it was improved. I'm still like, God, if we can just stop turning the ball over, we're going to run away with this thing. And then, so I was never like panicked. Usually in like games, I'm like, you know, i.e. Wisconsin, Minnesota, like those first plays
Better
of the
teams,
day.
you're
I'm
panicking.
like, well, I don't know. I mean, Illinois and Minnesota is better than Illinois and Rutgers. But I'm like, you get off to a weird start like that, I'm just like, I get that feeling like, oh my God. I never really got that feeling in this one. Maybe when Crookshank returned the kickoff, after we tie the game back up and he goes and it's 21-14, I'm like,
not again.
I'm like, oh my God, we can't just...
You can't get let off the gas.
Yeah, it's just... But...
That Doman play, though, what struck me and kind of hit me right then and there when this play unfolded was, you know what? They game planned us, and that play, and they knew that they were going to have a linebacker one-on-one.
Sure.
That's scary to think that we got out game planned in a little situation right
the first
there.
Play for them.
It happened to me on the field against USC.
Sure.
They understood that if they went empty, I had to guard Steve Smith man-to-man, and no Corey McKeon anywhere, no Irishman,
no linebacker, period.
could cover Steve Smith one-on-one. No. And then we checked out of that. I mean, they were 0 for 1 in the formation because I'm just that damn good. Thank goodness. Anyone else would have been a touchdown. But that we went back and we changed some things to make sure that didn't happen again. But that play, I kind of thought, we might be in trouble because that was a hell of a game plan play against a defense that's been playing well, and they were able to hit us big. Outside of that defense, I'm not going to say one bad word.
Oh,
they were put in bad positions left and right all day.
The turnovers, the punt, the fake punts. I mean, that's when you get off the field as a defense and then the punt team or the punt return team gives up. And that's happened 2 times this year. There might be nothing more maddening for a defensive player. I would have lost my absolute shit on those guys or who was ever running those special teams, because you get off the field and it's like, you're like, okay, you kind of relax and you sit down literally for
Did my job.
45 seconds to a minute, and it's, oh, guess what? We're right back out there, So, oh my God, I couldn't. I mean, we'll get into special teams. That's a big thing that has to get fixed.
Special teams coordinators in the bar, they're getting an earful of Coors Light breath right in their face.
But listen, I'll take it. I'm going to take this 28-21 win, and where this team was headed and just up and downs, and you short rest, you're playing a day earlier, big time snowstorm comes through there, and not a single fan's allowed.
Travel's difficult.
Yeah, they had juice, they had energy, they wanted to be there, and that was like my big concern, because if you didn't want to be there in a game like this, it was going to show. And other than the two special teams plays and the turnovers.
Mills has a big game.
And normally when that happens in any football game, I don't care if it's high school, college, professional, you give up two special teams, you give a special teams touchdown and a fake punt, and then you have 4 turnovers, you don't win those football games.
You lose by 20.
Yeah, you don't
21.
You don't win those football games, period. Let alone put up 620 yards total offense. And then hold them to 252.
I mean, take the score out of it. Best statistical game outside of the turnovers that we've had.
Yeah, by far.
Easily.
We finally had.
After everything that you just said, too, Jay, on the road, last game of the season, you're a 2-win team, crappy weather, frickin' New Jersey. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why I'm positive today.
I mean, you look at the stats. If you just you didn't look at this. I mean, you'd think Nebraska won this thing 48-10. I mean, Rutgers has 9 first downs, 2 of 13 on third down, and 252 yards total. They had 122 in the air and the rest for 130. He had the one pick. He had the one turnover, and that's when Cam Taylor-Britt came up big later in the game. But, I mean, yikes.
Oh, man. You take a look at this and you think, does Rutgers belong in the Big Ten? But then sometimes we're sitting down here going, does Nebraska belong in the Big Ten?
Can we go back to the Big 12?
Yeah. I mean, 5 fumbles, inexcusable. That's a lot of. What do you think about that, Jay? Cold, late in the season, beat up, short week. You mean
5 turnovers? We had what? The one fumble we got back.
Right.
But yeah,
we can't do that. Held the ball 19 minutes more. That's really good. When you're running the ball the way we were running the ball, you're going to control the game.
Yeah. If we want to, let's just get into. I mean, we look offensively, and they finally got things going. I mean, Diedrich, you finally got a running back going. I mean, the longest run up until this game by a running back. What would your guess be? Because I know you don't have it in front of you. I have
sub 25 yards, I'd say.
Yeah, 16.
Baloney.
16 yards. The longest run by a running back this season, 16 yards. I think it was by Wandell. Or maybe, you know what?
Awful.
I feel like let's see. God, okay, I take that back. So it's by a running back. So I think Rondell had some longer work. I think the stat was he's considered a wide receiver. 16 yards by.
Does it matter?
Diedrich Mills.
Whoever's running the ball.
Marvin Scott.
That's embarrassing. Some big play offense that we have. I mean, you've got to be able to gash people, and when you gash them, then you open up those lanes for Martinez to throw the rock. It gets guys open. People are sucking up into the run. But if I know these guys are going to pump out 4 or 5 yards, they'll stick 8 in the box.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
No.
Bring your safety down every once in a while. You're not going to struggle. That's scary. What's the longest pass? Do you know?
I don't. I did not hear that. I did not get that information.
I've got this pulled up. I might dig a little bit.
Yeah, you probably find
it. I don't like math, James.
Yeah, I do.
I don't do math.
Yeah, not very
but I'll
good.
look it up.
I could probably. So longest pass, gosh. Well, it's not very long either. It's probably who?
38 yards.
38 yards longest pass to.
You've got.
Was that Purdue game? Austin Allen Purdue game probably. He should have scored.
I don't know what this here on the stat sheet, STY or SYL, that might be style or negative 62. That makes sense. It makes me cringe.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher every year. It's been like it's been a goofy year. But you look at it when all these close losses and 1-score losses Nebraska's had, and we said it on here. How many now they've had, and since Scott Frost has been here in the 3 years, and how many? It's been mainly with Scott Frost. Seems like our losses in the other years past have been like play really well, win 9 games, and our other 3 losses are just blowouts. We're not really competitive in any of them. So, but it just comes down to penalties. Playing good football is just you got to clean up the penalties. And Nebraska was they had 9 for 56 yards. There was nothing other than maybe that holding call on one of Dedrick Mills' long drawn. It was Adrian or Dedrick, but it was a wide receiver holding. It really wasn't a holding.
No.
It seems like we've got a lot of those where it's like just
ticky tack. Yeah,
I mean, if I'm on a defensive, I'm probably saying I got held, but you look at it, you're like, it almost is one of those where it doesn't seem like you even need to happen.
Right.
He doesn't seem like he's going to make the play.
Let him go.
That's happened a lot this year, but it's just the turnovers. You just look at it. The turnovers, the penalties, and the special teams miscues that just continue to hurt this football team to get to where it needs to go. Now, I don't know if I would prioritize those fixes. Obviously, you'd say turnovers, A.
It's number one thing in
number
football.
one, you have to get that
have
fixed.
possessions. You can't give possessions away.
You cannot continue to turn the football over. And it's whether it's the fumbles, it's the forced throws, tip balls. And I will say, when things are going your way and it's your seasons and you got the mojo, you fall on those fumbles. I mean, how many fumbles? You look at the Illinois game, and I think Illinois had 4 fumbles, and we didn't have a chance. They felt like they were right there on top of them. But you're struggling. Those fumbles you can't pick up. They fall back in the other team's hands. Interceptions, the tip balls go right into their hands. It's just you have.
Are they praying to a different god? What is going on here?
I don't know.
Because I'm sending them north. I don't know how else to go.
Right, but again, we talked about it. This team. Well, you'd look at that. So you see the stat line, right? But then you say they had what we talked about. You have 4 turnovers, and you're minus 3 turnovers, and you got a special teams touchdown and a fake punt against you. People say you lost that. I don't care who you're playing.
Doesn't matter.
And especially in the Big Ten, you're going to lose. So I'll take some positivity out of that. And there's some things that got to get fixed, but. There's a lot of things that got to get fixed. There's not some things. There's a lot of things that got to get fixed.
Because of what you said earlier about the situation. You're going to Rutgers. You don't want to be playing Rutgers. They don't belong in the same sentence as you traditionally, and even now, even as we struggle. On the road, quick week, shitty weather. And for us to turn around and come back and do what we did after some of those breaks, I don't think there's a better positive note you could take from the game. That I almost feel that's exactly what we needed going into the offseason. A tough ask. We're going on the road. You didn't have a lot of guys. You had one lineman sit out. Who was it again?
Hymas. He was but Turner Cochran came in and played really well.
So
you did not hear his name
positive
called for holding. You did not hear him get beat on anything. And he looked. I mean, that's what you want. O linemen and DBs. If your names never get called, you're doing a good job. Unless you're DBs, you want the interceptions in PBUs. But if you're that good, people don't even try to throw at you.
When you're listed as an offensive line All-American, they should never have heard of you.
Right.
They're just I think they've got a really good offensive tackle, and then he just shows up as All-American, 0 sacks.
Right. And he looked the part, and he looked good. And that's
another positive.
So I mean, this game was 3 days ago, and sorry, it's just. Schedules are crazy. We could have got this out earlier, but my wife works this week on the weekend, so it was just hard to get over here to get this knocked out. But I think this game's been digested. I'm happy with the win. I'm happy with how the defense played, and we'll get into more of the defense things. But I kind of want to get into more of we're talking about being optimistic about some things. What are you optimistic about? Heading into next year for the offense.
Do you want me to start negative or positive?
No.
So you want me optimistic?
So what do you like about going into next year?
What I like is we're young. I think there's still a lot of progression that will be made by these players in the offseason. I think that we've said that a lot this year. But you come down, and I wanted to start negative because I'm looking at the offensive stats for the year, and granted, it's whatever, asterisk year. But there's not a lot of positivity in this. I mean, outside of Robinson, we didn't have a lot of offensive production that was really eye-popping. So we need to develop, and I think that a lot of these guys have developed over the year. So going into the offseason, what do you need to focus on? It's got to be mental preparation. It's got to be systematic. I think Frost has to take a step back, like we said on the last pod. Evaluate your program. You got to make moves, Jay. You're going to be going into year 4. And you and I committed that we're going to be 7-year fans here. We're going to let them get going. And that I'm willing to do that. If we lose this game, there is nothing that we could take. But the fact that we overcame a lot of obstacles, a lot of turnovers, and then we came back and beat them, and the stats looked the way that they did in that game, I think is a very good thing. I felt like there have been more players that were going to sit that out. You would have. If you were going to the NFL.
No, I would never sit out a game.
Against Rutgers on an asterisk season when you're going to be a top rounder.
I wasn't a top. I mean, I was a fourth.
You would have.
A fourth round. No, I don't think I would have. I would have had a hard time
looking at my teammates and do it.
Yeah, I don't think I could have done it. No. I mean, our last game that we played against Auburn, like Cotton Bowl, I was bawling walking off the field, because I knew that was my last time playing. I couldn't imagine of not finishing out, even in a that's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do since I was 4 years old, was play football at Nebraska, and I know it was gone. And it's man, because you blink and it's over, and I'm like, shit, I don't get to do this ever again. That's it. And maybe that's we need, I don't know. Hopefully you get more kids like that, because I think that's a huge deal. But I mean, I think the mindset, when you have one of your better players, and Hymas, that sits out, but they didn't let that phase them. They didn't let it phase at all. And what I am optimistic, and I'll continue to be optimistic about, is I think some people are really hard on Adrian.
For good reason.
Yeah, I mean, he turns the ball over. I still like him. I do not like Luke McCaffrey. Isn't.
No, he's not even close.
He's not. He will not be our quarterback.
I'm happy we put that to bed this year.
Yeah, it was you tried.
And Smothers is supposed to be the real deal.
And maybe if Luke was not banged up and wasn't available, I don't know if they pull Adrian in this to give Luke. I just don't see it. Only way I see Luke being a guy is if we honestly went to the old school option football. Then I'm like, okay, maybe.
Could have a package for that.
Maybe. Yeah, you absolutely
could.
Get
your guy a break. Yeah. Don't put it as a split time type thing. Get Martinez some snaps off. Let him watch some of the ball game. Let his other quarterback get some yards for him and set him up. I completely agree with that, Jay. But positivity, think about if he plays 30% better. A third of the turnovers, a third of the negative plays, a third of the interceptions. You're close to an all-conference quarterback.
Yeah, it's huge improvement.
His stats of the season, 71% completion percentage. That is really good.
Yeah,
but they're not bombing it downfield.
No, they're not. It's a lot of short to intermediate routes.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's not good.
3 interceptions.
And it's 8 games.
Sacked 11 times. That kind of stuff that he really can't help right there in the sack line. He's not a guy that's holding the ball forever that's causing the sacks. And back to the holding. The guy who was watching the game with that an interesting point. He says that our running backs get more holding calls than our offensive linemen. And what do you mean by this is you got guys like Mills and Martinez and McCaffrey and Robinson who aren't hitting holes. So if you're an offensive lineman and you're supposed to be pushing your guy out a gap and you're locked inside of him, which is legal, and you're driving because he's supposed to stay there, and then the running back runs outside of you and you don't let go.
Right.
I felt like that was a majority of our holds, and the running backs contributed to that.
Yeah.
Hit the hole you're supposed to hit. Granted, it might not be there, but the second you try to bounce or do too much, that's where you get penalties.
No, I agree. I'm excited. I'm optimistic about what the O-line can do. I was very optimistic about what they're going to have this year. I think they obviously underperformed.
Big time.
But when you have, we have the replay of the Rutgers game going as we're sitting here, I mean, you went Turner Cochran, who was a true freshman. Ethan Piper, redshirt freshman. Cam Jurgens, redshirt sophomore. I believe.
How do you remember all that?
Right, because I do a lot of between big
the years.
Between big wrap up and all this, I remember, and then I think who was playing right guard? Or Bryce Benhart, redshirt freshman. Farniok, I can't remember. See, I'm missing Farniok I can't remember if he's a junior or senior. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either you have a lot of young players. Like, I think you can develop, and yes, they're young. And the one position I'm not greatly optimistic about right now is the running back position. I don't think they have guys that can pop. Like, we get some open runs. I feel like
you gotta go.
Back in the
you gotta
day,
break them. They're gone.
We had guys that would score.
Yeah.
Now we don't have guys that they can't finish runs off to score. You need some big plays.
One of those guys, one of them should be able to do that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What are we recruiting these guys for?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a recruitment thing or a strength and conditioning thing. Like, they lift a ton of weight. Are they too big? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
No such thing, my friend.
I just, things I think about.
My curl regiment tells you anything. Too big does not exist.
I don't know if I can't say I'm optimistic about the wide receiver tight end crew. They've done some good things, but like, besides Wandell, Wandell was the best guy by far.
He's definitely the most dynamic
and most consistent. So,
and Martinez is right behind him.
Yeah.
Even if you look at his running statistics, he's still pretty good. 5.7 average. He had a 41-yard break. That could have been on a scramble, though. I don't remember that one. Do you?
Well, the 41 might have been against Rutgers.
That could be it. Yeah. So he's had some consistent play, but when you get, like you say, Jay, the bad Martinez, we don't stand a chance.
No.
No. And if you have a team around you, I think of like the 05 Bears. Who their starting quarterback was? Then when they went to the Super Bowl in 05 and Peyton Manning?
Don't help me out here. Oh my God, Rex Grossman.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you can win in the NFL with Rex Grossman, we should be able to win with Adrian Martinez.
Yeah.
Build the team around him.
So, it's concerning that this team has development of the wide receiver, as we're watching this play where Adrian gets flipped up on his head.
And it's actually lucky that he got out of that.
Yeah, but that ball was coming out before. But you see Omar Manning only is able to play in one game. I don't know what his issue is there. If it's a head thing, injury thing, I don't know. But you have some guys that left, and Marcus Fleming, you have Alante Brown coming back. You obviously have Wandell. He's obviously very positive. But offensively, I see some things, and they're young. I feel like there's more juice. There should be more juice for the squeeze. Like, it just.
Agreed. So what do you do with Adrian? You put him in a competition next year.
Well, it's going to be him,
you
Luke.
Shirt him. What's Smothers going to do?
I battle it out. I still think Adrian's going to be your guy next year. Okay. I do. He's going to be a fourth-year guy. And granted, you can get this year back. If you guys didn't want to give away a year, like, you can have it back this year. Like, seniors can come back and play if you want.
Is that official?
That's official.
Does he get an extra year of eligibility?
Yes, everybody does this year.
Us? I'm out.
I'm opting out.
Jesus. I'll just go do curls.
They got to produce more. You got to produce more. You can't. Realistically, the only time the offense has scored they've only scored more than 30 points one game this year. That was Purdue, because they did score 23. They scored 23 we scored 30 against Penn State, but we had a defensive touchdown.
We count those, but
the offense doesn't get counts those.
We've got to average on offense to compete. Our defense, if it keeps progressing, that number obviously changes, but you got to average 35.
Well,
in our league, Ohio State's 46. In Northwestern, man, did they battle them, didn't they?
Yeah, and I don't know, like, maybe it's just better. I think we're just a product of playing more disciplined, better defenses in teams. So I don't know if you need to blow the doors off. Yes, it'd be great to score 42 a game, average 40. Yeah, absolutely. But I think what I would much rather like to see, too, is just cleaner football.
That's the ask in the spring.
It's tighten things up, man. Like, quit turning the ball over. That can get taken care of. So I think to some extent, like, you're going to have some hits and stuff where you're just, like I said, they're just going to happen. The penalties, the timely penalties, clean that up.
That's right.
And then it's the in-game coaching, the clock things, but then the biggest thing too is the special teams issues, and we can get into this now if we want, because
outside the kicking game, it's embarrassing.
I mean, Connor Culp was phenomenal this year. He was missed
goals,
he was all Big Ten kicker. I mean, thank God we had him. But the kicking game's a mess. You can't. I mean, the coverage units, the punting. It's the punt return. That might be the most frustrating thing. You had 2 fakes ran on you this year, and one time you had only 10 effing people on the field. Like, that's special teams is all about. We
made it on Come On Man. It's Monday Night Football tonight, and Nebraska made it on Come On Man with how poorly our punt return was a few weeks ago in that fake. Can we just get rid of that? That would make me feel better. But that's all strategy in my head. That's all game planning. That's all practice. Well, that stuff should never happen.
Well, special teams is all about effort, attention to detail.
I loved it because I knew that I was going up against some snotty freshman who's scared to death of me. Plus, me and Steve Octavian were double teaming the guy, so it's pretty easy. We used to just sit on him.
Yeah. I mean, I think special teams is an issue of depth. When you have special teams issues, it means you probably aren't a super deep team. If you have other issues, you're young. But I look back to guys like who we played with, whether it was like Brandon Rigoni, like Ben Eisenhart, like special teams guys. It's like they were phenomenal.
Athleticism and heart mixed together,
and like straight got after it. And they were probably, like Riggs couldn't play any other position. He wasn't going to
be a starting
corner.
No,
but he was an animal, and he took pride. He's a special teams captain.
Yeah, and he never. I could look back on his game film and probably never find a mistake, never find a loaf.
Guys had a game plan for like Riggs out there.
You had to, because he was a monster.
Right, and then
Cadeby,
other guys,
Andy
Cadeby, yeah, and
he's got one of the best stories I've ever seen.
Remember Jeff Souter coming in there? The guy was
a madman.
He was an absolute madman. Like, there's just guys you have to have on your team, and whether they're young and like Sauer played young. We played a lot of young freshmen. I remember like my senior year, a lot of freshmen we played like Ricky Thanars.
Guy was a monster too.
Major Colbert.
Younger guys that wanted to be on the field that weren't quite there to be a starter.
But you have to give them to buy in, because like special teams is not a sexy thing.
No. Bill Bush was great at making it sexy, didn't he? Remember he did all the videos.
Yeah, he did.
He tried to make it fun.
But it is. You have to. But you have to, because it is a mindset. Because you know what? It's not like, did I love being a starter on punt team? No. But did I take pride in doing it right? Yes. And because it's
one of the most important plays in the game.
It is. What's this? The stat of you get a punt block, like your chances of winning that football game
80%.
It's like so. I just don't. You look if Nebraska has some of those. I don't know, but it has to develop. It has to get cleaned up. And you got to get guys just to buy in. I would think like there's guys out there that you have to have those. There's got to figure there's guys from Nebraska, like, who just want an opportunity, and somehow you just gotta, I don't know if I'm Frost or Chenander, whoever's helping out with special teams, being like, listen, I need you to, like, you gotta find your special teams like captains.
Well, here's my idea. Think about this. So you name captains in the fall?
Yeah.
After camp?
Yeah.
Do it in the spring. Do it in the spring, Jay.
Yeah, okay.
And then you got your leader, your special teams leaders going into spring. Callahan never did spring right. I think you and I could agree on that.
Never did spring right?
Correctly. Because spring, you're supposed to develop these red shirt. I'm looking at the bios right now. Red shirt freshman, sophomore, freshman, sophomore. That's where I got good, was the spring. Because I was the young guy taking the reps. Barrett didn't take every single rep.
Yeah.
They developed us.
But Callahan, what he didn't do, like, I would, like, we never, I remember, like, my first spring ball I participated when Solich was still there and Bo just got there. What we did was we split up. We had 2 teams going on at one time.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
We had 2 teams. So, like, you had, like, your 1s and 2s going against each other. Then you had your 3s and 4s down the other side of the field going. And that's where you got your reps. because we never did that in spring ball.
Nope.
It was everyone on the field at once, and we never split up, and you just had to. The young guys got their reps because what we usually did in practice was like the ones would go, the twos would go, the ones would go, the twos would go, then the threes would go.
Yeah, to give a little bit of a break.
And then the ones would go, the twos would go, the ones would go.
That's what I thought was wrong. Because if you looked at our stick, you going into your senior year, me going into my junior year, we were going to be good.
Yeah.
We were going to be really good.
Yeah.
And we look at, and for the people out there, they track every practice play. They grade every practice play.
Yep.
They put it up for people to see. And when you've got your seniors, Jay Moore, Adam Carricker, or the guys that have proven themselves, Bo Rude, and with the number one for the reps, that is not a spring to me. We've already developed. Let's get some depth. Let's get some people behind us, and let's stay healthy.
Yeah. Well, I think I felt like I need the reps. I felt like I got rusty really quick, so I don't know about other guys. I needed the reps, but I think where you need to evolve to is just being able to run 2 to almost 3 teams if you can at once and do stations. I mean, that's what
a good idea.
Like so my first training camp. I mean, that's what my first year at Nebraska when Solich was there. They had just got done. It was 2002, and that's what TO always talked about doing. Is you had your run stations. Was literally they had it organized to where it was one towards one end zone, other end zone, and they had something going up east and west. So you had the most field, and one to be like option, one was like inside run, one was like another. And I remember just getting my head kicked in because I'm a young kid out there, just like going against grown men, and it's like. It
made you better though, didn't it?
It toughened you up, and you got reps. And like you were over there. You're 2 deep at each station for the most part, and you got reps. It was like in 3 out 3, in 3 out 3, in 3 out 3, rotate.
Yep.
In 3 out 3, in 3 out 3. Then like you just got reps. I mean, boom, you got in a matter of 30 minutes, you probably got 30 reps. Which is pretty good. That's in full live
really
looks
good.
and good, not live looks, but like 11 on 11 looks. That's
good on good.
That's good on
tough.
Like that's so whether it's I forgot about this player where Adrian punts it, and then Wandell.
Just when
of all people, Wandell runs down and covers it.
Nebraska can't do anything more funky. We have quarterbacks punting. Eric Crouch is watching this, just turning up for Omaha. Okay, so you're right, and that helped. But you were the young guy taking the reps, weren't you? There were older guys.
But see, everyone was taking reps, though.
Right.
That's what they did. Everyone was taking reps.
But that's not how Callahan ran it.
No.
Because it would be 1s and 2s and occasional 3s.
Yeah.
You got to get the 3s, 2s,
but Callahan
occasional
was so,
ones.
like, that's more NFL, though. That's just the way NFL does it.
Dude, I get that.
That's
but
what
when we got done with that spring ball, we were exhausted. And back then you're going, man, what if I would have torn an ACL? Number 1 reps on the top of the sheet. Get out of here with that. This is supposed to be developmental. This is the biggest spring, I think, in modern Nebraska history. Mm-hmm. Don't you agree? You're going off a weird 3-win season.
Yeah.
You've got young talent. You've got some young players that can contribute that are coming back. You need to develop them, and you need to do it quickly.
They do. And so with that being said, this is kind of a developmenting, getting reps. Are you surprised that they're not playing in a bowl game? They're opted out.
I was surprised is not the right word. I think it was logical.
I can see both. I
would have taken an extra.
I can argue both sides, and I think there's.
Well, I would have said yes. I would have been like, okay, give me a week and a half. Because you get back on that plane from Rutgers, your knees are taped up with ice. All you're thinking about is relaxing.
Right.
But in 2 days, you get the itch again. You want to go.
Yeah.
You want to get on TV. You want to whoop someone's ass, and you want the girls at the university to see it.
Yeah.
More specific towards my mindset. So that I was always a component of keep going. I hated bye weeks.
I hated bye weeks. I hated bye weeks too. I did not like them. Like I said, I feel like if I took like 3 days off, like my eyes and footwork and hands, I'm like, oh my god, I feel like
we had hitting a reset.
Yeah, I'm like, I hated it. I bye weeks would almost been better. It's nice to have, but like I just almost needed to like get like 6 or 8 reps of hitting a blocking dummy or something like that, just so I could get my hands and my eyes and my feet right. But
let me tell. So back to the special team stuff, because I want to tell this story.
Okay.
And it might be illegal, so we might have to block it out. But so we were talking about just having those special team guys that had the heart to get it done and not make any mistakes. So Andy Cadavy,
Yeah.
great guy. Guy grew up shit situation. Dad was a problem. Brother was a big problem for the state, for a lot of different agencies. But the guy never gave up. And then you got this walk-on guy. He's hitting workouts early in the morning because he had to student teach because he was going to be a teacher. And he had practice. And then he went to his job at night. Nothing but respect for the grind for guys like this. So what we used to do, we used to get meal money. And what we do, it was $10 or $20 cash.
Yeah, I do remember this.
Listen, as long as you're on university's time, they have to feed you, right? So they're not going to have a team meal after the game. People's families are there.
Yeah.
So they hand you $20 and say, go get yourself some food.
Right.
So being the degenerate pieces of shit that we were, instead of doing that, we threw all the money into a pile. And whoever had the hardest hit won the money.
Right.
So that's back when you can actually do the wedges on kickoff return. So first play of the game, I can't remember. I think it was like Nicholls State.
My first game that year would have been, our senior was Louisiana Tech.
That's right. Cadavy comes down, first play of the game, opening kickoff. He hits the guy with the ball so hard, he collapses in his own face mask, gives him a black eye, a bloody lip. The guy on the other team was so effed up from the hit, he came in our defensive huddle. He was looking around going, under 54, I never heard of that. We're like, get the hell out of here. He won the money on the first play of the game.
I remember that.
And that was the talk of every first game. All right, who's going to have the Cadavy hit? Who's going to do? And that motivated people, man. That's the little things that make a difference in a program.
Getting like an extra $120, $150
$254
in college, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of Bud Lights at Main Street.
Yeah, that's a good story. I'm glad you brought that. But going back to the bowl game, because that's been a hot topic of it, and I think we've kind of dove into this game enough.
I mean, like what Frost said to you. He's kind of worn out.
Yeah.
Come on, man. How many millions of dollars you making?
Yeah,
you don't get worn out. Check your banking account.
Yeah.
That should juice you up a little bit. And then go play a game.
So
your kids need it.
So that's where I'm at. So I can understand both instances or both arguments, both decisions. If they would have said, "Yep, we want to play football this year. We were short a game, and because we had the Wisconsin game canceled." And you know what? We need more reps. I need this team to, I need to be a better coach.
It's a free game in my mind, right?
And we're gonna take it. We're gonna go play. I think everyone's like, great, we get it. But then also, the stuff they had to deal with this year is obviously unprecedented. There's no book or manual, or you can't call a coach and be like, hey, how'd you deal with the pandemic of 1987? Well, you guys do that year.
Flu one?
Right.
T.O. might have known.
Right. Like, you can't, and you look at all these other schools. I mean, do you think, of course, a lot of these other coaches and a lot of players wanted to play still, but is it what's best for their kids at that moment because of what they've been through? I mean, USC, Kansas State, LSU was opted out, but that was like self-sanctions. Yeah, good, nice try, LSU.
We're still gonna throw the book at you.
But just all the schools, Minnesota. You just go down the list, and maybe if Nebraska had beaten Minnesota and finished out the year strong and with 3 wins, maybe hey,
maybe we get to even.
Maybe we can keep battling, get a winning season or whatever it might be. Maybe you get a better bowl game. I don't even know what bowl game they're going to go to. I don't even know if it was worth. It potentially might have been the
Jay Moore Big Red Wrap-Up Bowl.
Yeah,
in Lincoln, Nebraska.
I mean, maybe the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte, which I don't know. And let's be honest, it's not like a normal bowl game, right?
Correct.
It's like a normal away game. The best part about bowl games is you leave, you spend 4 or 5 days there, you get to go out a couple
nights,
and
dine, and
you get the nice hotels with the
gifts.
The gifts. They probably still got the gifts, but all the player suites. I mean, remember those places? I mean,
it's fun, and you put in a lot of work, but they reward you for it. Yeah.
I mean, the Cotton Bowl that we went, Cotton Bowl was the best bowl game because I went to 2 Alamo Bowls, and Independence Bowl, which was the worst. I mean, that place is a dump. Shreveport was awful.
It sounds nice.
No, it's not. Hey, it might have been nice if you were 21, you could go out.
It wouldn't matter.
I didn't have a fake ID yet. I learned real quick the next year we went to
You ever
San
met
Antonio.
Ben Ruff? That Ben Ruff ID got passed back like quite a few times. And then when it was a long night, they say, "How was your night?" Ben Ruff.
But yeah, Shreveport was not great.
Cotton Bowl was
insane.
As fancy and as
like
nice
every
as
time
you could get.
we had that player suite, and you had all the video games and pool tables.
NBA Jam, Sean Hill.
Yeah, and then you literally get back, and I bet you I gained 15 pounds that week because they kept bringing out like hot wings and mozzarella sticks and ice cream and like, oh my god, this is incredible. None of that happens. None of that happens. You
sit
literally
in your dorm.
You sit in your hotel. Well, you're gonna fly in maybe whenever the game. I don't know what game it would have been. Game's on Sunday. You're gonna fly in Saturday. Boom, it's not gonna wait. You just don't get it, and these kids have been put through a lot. They have. So I have no problem. Selfishly, would I have loved to see them play another football game so we can sit down here and talk one more game and I could do one more big old wrap up? Sure. Yes. I would have loved to do that. But I don't could you those kids have not been able to see their families, experience really a social life.
No college life, yeah.
You have to be so careful. You're getting tested and doing all this crap every day. Hasn't been very successful. And does another win against, I don't know. I don't even know who they played. Who was Wisconsin playing the Duke's Mayo Bowl? I was just looking at that. Potentially that would have been a place where we could have waited. It's an ACC school. So does beating give me a minute.
There's not a lot of real
beating Wake Forest. Beating Wake Forest here's the thing. It's
Missouri and Iowa. That's okay.
That's not bad. that's
not
but
too
you
bad.
you'd play Wake Forest 4-4.
Northwestern Auburn.
Yeah.
No, I'm listening.
Right, but you're not going to get that. Northwestern just played for the Big Ten championship, so.
We would probably get another down school, Tennessee.
You maybe looked at this. You probably, I don't know, your chances was maybe you play Wake Forest. Okay, maybe.
Okay.
So does that playing that game on December 30th, and you're telling your kids that you can't go home for Christmas, and then I've missed Christmas for many bowl games. But the nice thing was my family was able to come down, and I was still able to see them on bowl trips.
Yep. Lucky. That's nice.
I look at it as 6 one way, half a dozen the other.
But do you think hey young guys, let's assume it's the full Monty, the full bowl game. Let's say half of it, 3 days there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is it worth the experience for younger guys? Technically you could bring everybody back. So not worth the experience to get on the road a little bit? I know it's a grind, but do you think it's not going to pay dividends in the next 2 years for some of these kids?
God.
Or they need the rest? I'm all for it. Hey, we're beat up. We're tired. All the stuff you mentioned. Let's put it to a vote. Majority wins. And then you still got out of 100 guys, 48 vote no. And you got 48 pissed off guys, But that's the one downside in my head is the experience.
That's my biggest thing is it's a game to improve. You can't. It's one thing in football. You can practice all you want, but you can't, and you can scrimmage your own guys. But playing and learning against another team is, you don't have preseason games in the NFL. That'd be my only argument against this is it's another chance to get better. It's another chance to improve. But I don't know what these guys have been through. I don't know, and
ringer, man.
They've been through everything, and I haven't been through anything like this. Hell, I'm exhausted. I can't wait.
Well, it's because we drink heavily every time we do this, but we could use a break.
But, please 2021 be better because I can't, 2020 has just been just the crap we have to deal with and just everything, I'm ready to move on from all this. So,
I've had shit stains on my boxers that are better than the year 2020.
So, I can't put myself in their shoes because I've never been in their shoes before and have to deal with all this.
Right.
But again, if I'm a player, and knowing how I wouldn't have opted out to help my NFL draft stock, I would have never have voted no, I don't want to play. I would have voted yes.
I need it. Yep.
So I know there's a lot of
split. We're 50-50.
Well, I can see both sides. Like,
if it's full week, you go. Yes.
I don't even know that. Like, so if they would have played that game, it's on December 30th. So here's what you could have technically done if you really wanted to play. Like,
you have Christmas.
You can't though. Like, you couldn't.
Like you're going I'm not going anywhere.
Well, you couldn't send your kids home for Christmas. Like, I remember the year we went to the Cotton Bowl because we played on New Year's Day. Like, we were able to go home for Christmas, but we flew out the very next day.
Yeah.
So like
I didn't, but you did, type deal.
Right, but no, I think a lot of guys like flew down there. Flew into Dallas. Like Stu, I remember he went home to Salt Lake and flew from Salt Lake into Dallas.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
So you potentially could have done that and just said, and maybe but you couldn't have done that this year because you can't let your guys go home because of COVID. You can't get them exposed.
Go back for a day and then bring it all down to the bowl game.
And maybe you could because it sounds like the whole team's already had it already. So potentially you could like.
You already took positive tests? No.
Oh, we've had it. Yeah.
For what? Oh, COVID? No. And that's what the kids will say.
For sure. You could have maybe had them. I don't know. You just couldn't have sent them home. But you get them some time off. You get ready for a game on a Wednesday, the 30th, and you get. I don't.
So it was plenty of time.
It was plenty. You get them some time off, yeah. But it's just you're just expanding this. You're not truly getting the full. The nice thing with bowl games, you do get. You're able. That's when you can develop your young guys. You get your guys some practice, and you have some scrimmages and things like that, and you get your guys some time off to help your older guys, give them some reps off, and get some younger guys. But
that was that whole December period.
Yeah.
In a normal year, when you've got 20 days, maybe some point time between your bowl game and the last game. I mean, you get to heal, you get to hit the gym, a little bit more aggressively, which helps with that. This, what? Now that you're spelling it out for me, I'd say no. I'd say let's heal, let's not risk any guys, and let's gear up for the spring.
Yeah.
Let's get some winter workout plan going. Let's do some self-scouting. Let's bring Jay and Corey in to fix stuff, and we're good to go.
Just listen to our podcast. We fix everything.
Yeah. Just gotta do it. Throw it on the loudspeaker.
There's a lot of angry fans. I see their argument because you're wanting to play. You're fighting to play. I get that, but that was fighting to play in August and September and October, and then you wanted to obviously play your second game of the season because that got canceled. But things just changed. Like things evolved. The season just evolved, and it's just what they've been through. Like I've said, the juice just wasn't like worth the squeeze.
And you've had enough heartbreak this year and enough difficult situations.
And you went out on a high note.
Why risk another one? Who knows? Freaking like a team bus going down and them getting stranded in Tennessee or something. Who knows these days? Who knows? I don't even know.
I kind of had a feeling like being on social media after the game and like they're taking team picture, like position pictures, like what a great year. I'm like, oh god, they're not going to play in a bowl game. Like even on a Friday. And I think they came out and announced it on Sunday, but I'm like, oh my gosh, they're taking these pictures. Like
their minds are made. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're not going to play in a bowl. You don't take those then. Like you'd take them at the bowl game. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I can't fault them. I don't fault them. And
what a year.
I can't.
Jeez, that Jameson's staring at me.
Yeah.
I just started feeling better from the weekend.
Jeez, it does look good. It looks really good.
God damn it.
So, exactly, what a year.
So your top three things going into, number one, off-season workouts, and then into spring ball. What are you focusing on from a program, a player development, and an overall strategy?
I am, because we kind of talked, turnovers and penalties. Turnovers are a major thing. I mean, Nebraska is dead last in turnover margin in the Big Ten. Dead last. I think they finished this Rutgers game minus 11 or 12. I mean, that is bad. Really, really bad.
Jeez.
I could have dug deeper, but nice to see the last time Nebraska finished positive for the year.
I know.
And we probably were pretty damn
that
good.
Stat line went Rutgers, Elkhorn, Nebraska. But Elkhorn's really good.
Yeah,
so
they are really good. It's getting this offense on track. I think this has to be number one. When you have a 4-year quarter or a potential 4-year starter coming back, guys who have played, it's just finding something with this offense to get it going, because it just hasn't gotten going. It's being too cute. I mean, I almost threw my beer at the TV. They ran that shovel pass to Hickman down there in the 1 yard line, 2 yard. I'm like, what in the fuck is that play? That was pathetic. I mean,
I call better plays 9 years old playing Madden.
Again, it's
than
like
our coaches
you
are
literally
doing.
They cannot stop you run. And you run that. It's like, why? And they did that last year against Purdue. I'm just like, why? Why? It's just why? I always say that. Why is that needed right there? Why? It's just that's the stuff I think that he needs to figure out. Like this extra wrinkles. Like I just this. Like this, why is it? Why do you? Why? It's not. You just don't need some of that stuff. I think the offense has got to find. This offense has got to improve. I think if they stop turning the ball over, they'll improve. So they'll take care of itself.
What's before the offense?
No, offense. I think the offense has to improve.
Special teams.
Well, that too.
We're gonna leave the defense because it's moving forward.
Defense is improved.
It's improved.
Defense is improved. I still think they need to find a pass rusher and develop a pass rusher. That's my one thing for the defense.
You the other day that said, "Man, was it nice?" Remember Randy Gregory?
Yeah.
When he wasn't smoking weed, he was a hell of a player.
Yeah. Like they need to develop, somehow get a pass rusher going somehow, some way. But it's special teams. It's like, what do you want? Like, would you rather have improved quicker, the special teams or the offense?
Well, offense, because it's the biggest chunk of what we're trying to do.
I think.
But what if our offense is great and we give up 3 or 4 special team blunders a game?
You just gotta,
and you're gonna kill it. You're just gonna kill it.
Sure.
I think it's structural. I think we've got to take a peek at exactly what our program wants to do and then go do it. And I know Frost has the talent and the coaches around to do it. So we need to see the results. We need to see the product. Mm-hmm. I'm just on their bios right now, just looking at the staff, and I know that there's the winning combination is on this page on the website of these coaches and players. We just got to get them to where they need to be able to compete and have the confidence to win. Mm-hmm. There's no confidence out there.
No, I think Frost. I mean, I think that's why he gets a little conservative, because he wants to win so bad. And I think it's a mix. It's right. It's a mix of being too conservative and you have to. I think any successful business, doing anything athletics wise, a team, like you can't be so far up and so far down. You got to always find that happy medium. Like your best and your worst should never be that far off, right?
Right.
Like it should be. You're trying to find the consistency in it all. Your consistencies in it all. Like you can't go out and, like we talked about with golf. Like you can't go out and shoot. A golfer can't go shoot 64 and shoot 85. Like it's maybe anomaly, but like that just doesn't like happen. Like good football teams can't go out and win 62 to 3.
It should be impossible,
right?
If you're building a program correctly,
like
because the consistency is number one.
Like 62 and you win a football game, you're got a lot of chaos going on upstairs. But you can't want to blow a team out and then get blown out. Like that has to start coming together. And the same with managing a football game, your play calls. Like you just can't. I think it's got to find a way to make that more consistent. You can't. There's a time, I think a 4-man offense, you want to slow it down and choke it back a little bit, but it has to be comfortable for their offense too, because sometimes they do that, they look uncomfortable doing it. It's like, oh my God, we've never
don't call plays you can't run.
Do this before, right?
Don't call plays you can't run. Martinez not throwing the ball downfield. It's a little frightening because that means they can't do it.
Yeah, that middle line needs to get closer. Like their worst needs to get closer to. I mean, it's just being more consistent. That's all. Their consistency has to get there. And
you shot a 64 in golf?
I have.
I'm not even in this conversation.
I have once. So
after all that, that's what stuck out in my head. He's actually had a 64.
I've shot at 85 before too, so let's put it that way.
Yeah, 01.
So
you're positive.
There's some things that are
offense.
positive. I'm a little concerned just with some things this year because I thought the offense would look a lot better in year 3. I really did. Year 4, like you're supposed to go. You open up the season in Ireland against Illinois, and we'll see if that even happens.
It better. It's like my dream come true.
With Bielema now the head coach there.
Good hire. That guy's won games.
Don't hate it. He's very obviously.
I said that about Lovie Smith though. Should we look up Lovie Smith and Scott Frost records? See what they are.
We don't need to. We don't need to.
Positive
thoughts. It's the schedule doesn't get any easier, and it just being the Big Ten, it doesn't get any easier every year.
But don't you think you should be cementing yourself each year, building another positive stepping stone? If we're going to give Scott 7 years, which I'm
here's one thing I think.
Give me a step.
Here's one thing I can say, other than that the defense I think took a step forward, is I think where you have seen something is physicality. I can't say we were shoved around, pushed around this year.
Definitely tougher. But then they turn it off in some games. Minnesota, where'd it go?
That's just, again, miscues. That's managing the game. Just, again, making it too complicated. Like, run the ball.
Yep.
Minnesota can't stop a run. Run the ball. Do it.
No one will ever fault you. No fan's going to be writing the letters going, you should have thrown the ball down the field when you're getting 7 yards of carry.
Right. Just
don't outcoach yourself. Don't outthink yourself.
I think we can, defense took a step forward. Overall, the team physicality. But special teams and offense are a huge issue, a major, major issue. So you got 3 phases of the game. You got 2 major issues.
They're correctable.
No, they are correctable.
Which is good, because if you look at an offensive line just got chewed up all year, you're going,
yeah, you got
nothing you can do.
Right.
But these are all correctable.
Yeah, and they're young. There's a lot of young guys. So, man, what a year.
I'm just happy to be alive.
Let's
take a big giant step
we got
back.
Christmas this week.
Santa wearing a mask. That'll be good.
Jeez Louise.
I am so happy we won this game.
Covered. They did 6.5. But we go out on a high note. Maybe that's one thing too. It's like, you know what, we won. Let's go out on a high note.
Yep, let's leave it. Let's start building. I'm fine. You talked me into the no bowl game because I was kind of.
Like, I selfishly want them to see, because I want them to get better and improve. But sometimes it's like,
Coach Frost is looking at it, Jay, and going, there's not a lot of positive steps we could take, but there's a lot more negative.
Right.
Make that decision.
Right.
I'm all for that, man.
So, well, I think that's a show. That's a 2020 post-game pod show. We had to talk about 3 wins.
Our poor listeners.
Listeners, all 5
Hi, Dad.
Of them. All 5 of them. Well.
All right, buddy. I mean,
it was fun.
It was definitely fun,
Thanks.
but we could have been a lot more fun if we were talking about being in the BCS playoff right now.
Or even just a New Year's 6.
I'd take that all day.
I'd take it. I mean, a New Year's 6 bowl game is a huge step in the.
It's a big deal.
People
don't underestimate that quite a bit. That puts you in the top 15 of all teams, if not better than that.
It puts for the most. I mean, top 12.
Yep. Well, go Big Red, buddy. I don't know what else to say.
So, be on Big Red wrap up one more time tomorrow night, NET, 7 p.m. Myself, Michael Severe, Sean Callahan, talking about the win, talking about the bowl game, a lot of stuff we talked about here. And kind of outlooking what we can see into the 2021 season when we'll see if they open up overseas against Illinois, I think in August.
My birthday.
My birthday's in August too.
I'm aware. We celebrate together.
Yeah, I'm in Ireland playing golf.
I'll be there. You're going to call it golf.
All right, guys. Thanks. It's been a crazy year. Thanks for, I don't know how many listeners out there listening. I appreciate it. Thank you. last more to it pod of the 2020 season and the 2020 year. I know it's been a crazy year. Thanks to everyone who has taken their time out, listened. I really do appreciate it. And we'll be back in 2021.
A Hurrdat Media Production.